and also go ahead and do so.
I've got a policy. If they're easy questions, I'll take them hard after.
All right, no problem. Please don't return back to me either. I'd rather not answer any. So the first one is, how will the city mandate that property owners adequately maintain buildings in disrepair or vacant?
Well, I think we've got a couple of different ways we're doing it, to be truthful with you. Some of it is the carrot, some of it's the stick. The carrot is through things like 269 and making sure that we mandate kind of the character of the building so their development comes and meets kind of the criteria and that sort of thing. We actually use that in SUPs and that sort of thing, so we can do that. Then on the stick side, again, not just in development, but across the city, we have passed some legislation that gives us the ability to much more aggressively go in after dilapidated or vacant buildings. Previously, historically, we couldn't do it unless literally the building was going to fall down. There were structural issues and that sort of thing. Now we can go in if we can show that it is simply not contributing to the community. There's a legal process we'll go through. We'll need to protect rights and that sort of thing, but it gives us additional tools to be able to go in. And what we want to do is not so much penalize people, but we really want to push them to do the right thing. In some cases, it may be selling some of these vacant, dilapidated buildings so that somebody can come in and do the right thing for the neighborhood. In other cases, hopefully, it will push people to make investments on their own and do those sorts of things. So I think in some ways, we're going to use kind of the tools of the land planning and all those components, and then we'll also use other tools that probably fall more into the law enforcement, but also fall into our ability to do civil litigation. And again, I'd say in a lot of areas of this community, we've already had some great success.
All right, thank you. Next question is, what development incentives can the city offer?
I think we can offer a lot of them, and we do it. Those have a whole different range to them. Largely, it's going to be on a case-by-case. It clearly depends on the size of it, depends on what's trying to be accomplished. All of those sorts of components. In some cases, we can make tax abatements available. We've got TIFs, all of those sorts of things. So we're trying to increase kind of the tool bag, so to speak, to be able to utilize. And I think if you look over the course of the last year, literally from when we came in office to today, I think you see us reaching out and trying to work with the community, work with businesses to try to have some great things happen, not only in development, but in a lot of the neighborhoods. And again, I turn around and say you see some great success. In Jubilee, as an example, we've actually engaged not just the public sector, but the private sector to fund things like cameras that have been very useful in reducing the amount of crime. Private sector getting donations that have come in and taken, in one case, a nightclub that clearly didn't add to the community, and taking that out and putting a community center in that will be a source of, I think, a lot of pride as well as service for those communities. So those are the sorts of things we've done, and again, they go to last year, we made some terrific progress on those things.
Great. I think this one is directed towards the DPD, so if one of you guys would like to come up and answer. Or both of you, come up as a team. Yeah, team's always good.
This isn't fair. You guys get a team.
The question I specifically asked is, what is the status of police car, bike, and walk patrols? It seems that they have decreased over the past year.
They should not have decreased at all. We continue to view development as a priority. We pay officers to work overtime Friday and Saturday nights. And we've worked hard with the community, and we've adapted what we've done in response to both criticism, suggestions, and compliments. And so our approach to development has changed as far as the way we do things. We've recently opened Main Street back up to two-way traffic on Friday and Saturday nights. And we're trying to do whatever we need to do, but our commitment to development and to foot patrols, and we're using new tools to do it. I'd like to make one really brief comment. When I got the job in Arlington, there were a couple of people I worked with who lived in development. They both independently said, clean it up, but not too much. We've still sometimes been trying to figure out what that means. So we're very responsive to whatever that means over the coming period of time.
Chief, just take 30 seconds and expand a little bit on the beat policing, what you're doing through the city and how that's going to help.
Yes, what we're trying to do, and this is probably less of an impact on development because I think we've always had a good working relationship between our officers and supervisors and the community leaders in development. What we're trying to do is just make sure every piece of geography in the city is owned by an officer, and that we're connected with the stakeholders so that we can work with them to address community concerns and respond both with our crime strategies and other ways to create safe neighborhoods. The City Council just passed Wednesday a new ordinance dealing with the issue of metal thefts, and I think that will make a big difference in Deep Ellum. We're already have seen less foot traffic in a salvage yard that probably most impacts this particular community, and so I think we're going to see some significant results quickly with that ordinance.
And if I could real quickly, we're talking about beat ownership. Can I introduce Sergeant David Conley? A lot of you know him in that Robert takes it to him, he's Lieutenant Herb Ashford. He is your lieutenant.
And I would reinforce, in the last budget we put 200 additional officers in. This next budget we'll have 200 additional. That would go on for the next couple of years. So in essence, in the space of about 3.5 years, we'll have about a 30% increase in our police force. That clearly is citywide, but gives additional flexibility for staffing, for those sorts of things, of being able to address areas like Deep Ellum the way that we want to. The other thing I'd point out is we deal with SUPs as they come in. More and more we're specifying the level of security, this level of security that needs to be gotten from, in a lot of cases, the Dallas Police Department, off-duty police officers and that sort of thing, but at least some level of security to put those in so that the businesses are participating in the effort too.
Great, thank you guys so much. This next one could probably be directed to either of you guys. So, how is the city helping? Yeah, no, stay up here. How is the city helping business owners to change the negative perception of Deep Ellum?
I'd probably say a couple things. The first, I hope, is situations like this and just talking about kind of the potential and the opportunity side. I mean, again, what I do is speak to a lot of groups around the community and that sort of thing. As I use Deep Ellum as the great example of what we want to have in Dallas, we don't have a lot of the brands, a lot of the things that neighborhoods that have special characteristics. This is kind of almost what we want to get to in other areas of the community. So I hope we put that forth as examples of what we're trying to do. I met with a number of different business groups and that sort of thing over the space of the last year. So I hope that pushes the cause and that sort of thing. Clearly the city council has dealt with it in a number of ways that I talked about. So I hope we can push it in a lot of different ways. But I'd also tell you kind of the rising tide as we get more business opportunities literally all the way through. That it's going to be great for especially a place like Deep Ellum that wants to see some of those businesses come back. We've got some businesses, to be truthful with you, need more traffic and need more opportunities.